Hello, welcome back. In this video I wanted to talk about something not too important, to be honest with you, but it's an Aspie kind of fact, and it's something that I know applies to me, and I'm going to talk about dress sense and fashion chasing and clothes in general. Before I was diagnosed, I did have periods in my life where I chased brands. I had to have certain brands because I thought they were the ones that everybody was wearing, and now I know, really looking back, that was all part of my exhausting, never-ending quest to fit in. If you wore the same clothes as neurotypical people and you acted the same as neurotypical people, most of them were going to accept you as one of them, and that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be accepted into a society that I didn't quite gel into. And so having an identity, that a common identity with people, was a good way of doing that. So, you know, I did chase the brands when I was younger, but that was actually also connected with my obsessive traits. So whereas somebody maybe I'd see somebody wearing some Lacoste shirts, for instance, I decided that I should be wearing Lacoste shirts because I think they look cool, and I think they look cool on neurotypical people, the people that I was trying to fit in with or emulate or look like. So instead of buying one shirt, I'd buy 10, all different colours, all at the same time. If I saw back in the 80s a tracksuit that I liked or someone else had, I'd buy 3 or 4. I wouldn't just buy the one. I always found fashion I never really understood fashion. I never understood how to look fashionable or in vogue or cool. And at some point, I think in my sort of mid to late 20s, I think I kind of gradually gave up on chasing that. I could never justify the cost either of having a polo shirt with a embroidered logo on it that made that shirt cost £70 more than the same shirt without the logo on it. As I said, I did go through a few brand obsessions, but I think generally speaking, people with Aspergers and autism, they're not worried about brands, they're not worried about fashion. All they're worried about is form and function. Does this piece of clothing do what it's supposed to do? Is it comfortable to wear? If it is comfortable to wear, I will now wear it all the time. Many times I have to have clothes dragged off of me and put in the washing machine because I've just kept wearing them. Not everyday shirts and underwear, but, you know, like fleeces or trousers, you know, I just keep wearing them every day because I like the feel of them, you know. I suppose that comes down to, you know, that a little bit of routine as well, wearing the same thing, it has the same feel, I interact with it the same way. I've got a real aversion to new clothing. I don't like new clothing. I would say in the last, since I've been with my current partner, I've hardly done any of my own clothes shopping at all. She buys me stuff, and if I like it, I'll wear it. You know, there are some pieces I just won't wear because I just don't like them, or I wear them and they're uncomfortable, and I won't carry on wearing them just because someone went and bought them for me as a present. You know, that comes with the territory of someone with Aspergers not being grateful. So yeah, I mean, I base my clothes on how comfortable they are to wear, and are they functional. So I have work clothes that I wear for work, and then I have lounge clothes that I wear when I get home from work, and then I have clothes I only wear at weekends or the odd evening out. I really don't need a big wardrobe, and if I've ever had a big wardrobe in my past, it's always been because of the obsessive part of me has collected clothing. You know, you got a wardrobe full of clothes, and I only wore 2 or 3 because they were the ones that were comfortable and I liked the most, and I didn't like wearing the other ones after that because I'd got into a routine of wearing the ones I did like, and you know, they're just basically not get worn, and I'd eventually get rid of them. Touching on clothes, I mean, we've got the textures thing going on here, materials. I know I'm not the only one, the only people with autism, but I hate wool. I cannot wear it. I cannot have it touching around my neck, around my wrists. I can sometimes wear a hat, a woolen hat. Things with labels. Now, labels is a big one. I did go through a little phase of cutting out labels in everything I bought brand new, but I later found out that if I cut the label out, you know, especially if it was designer wear, I couldn't sell it because I'd hardly have used it, and then I go to sell it on eBay or something and I cut the label out. But labels irritate me to the max, and I will know that as soon as I put it on, no matter what the circumstances. I have to take it off, I have to get a pair of scissors, I have to cut it out. And sometimes what's even more annoying, when you cut it out, it still leaves a tiny little stub of label that in some cases can be more annoying than the label, and then you got like a, you know, you can't win then. Now you've got a piece of clothing that you've cut the label out, you can't return or hand on or sell, and it's still irritating you even though you've done that. Other things as well is I don't like wearing tight clothing. I haven't got the figure for tight clothing anymore, but even when I did, and I used to go down the gym, I didn't like wearing tight clothing. It didn't feel right. I liked looser clothing. I still do now, like loose clothing. On a kind of side shoot to clothing, sleeping in bed, and I didn't even know this was a thing myself. I only found this out not too long ago about there's a thing you can buy for autistic and Asperger people with they're called weighted blankets. You can put them on the end of your bed and they lay over your feet, and they give that autistic person a really strong sense of comfort and security. I haven't looked into the science of why that is, but lo and behold, for like the last 4 or 5 years before I got diagnosed, the bottom of our bed was full up of clothes that were deliberately left there, not because I'm lazy and didn't put them away, but because when I got into bed I liked the feeling of my feet going underneath them and the weight from all those clothes bearing down on my lower legs and my feet. And I couldn't explain that, and that was like super weird, but I've since found out that that's a real thing for autistic people, and I never knew that. So that's a little thing. Pillows, you know, any material that touches our skin, very, very hypersensitive to clothing touching, which is why I don't like tight clothing. Hate labels. Don't like woolen things, or you know, anything scratchy. But you know, people can say, well, I don't like scratchy things either. But there are some things. There are even like some certain socks I can't wear because they're not put together right, and they don't touch my feet in the right way, sometimes you get those fleecy socks, and I don't like them because they haven't got that pressure out on my foot, and that gives me a little sense of comfort for some reason as well. It's probably going back to the weighted thing. I'll have to look into that and find out why that is an actual thing for autistic people. So yeah, clothing is going to be more function and form. You're going to see autistic people probably wearing the same things over and over again with not much rotation, because they're comfortable with them, and it's a routine thing as well, I think, mixed in there as well. And you know, I'm not really bothered about what fashion brands I'm wearing anymore. I have realised down the years that there are certain brands of clothing that are better made, because not just because they got a label on them they're more expensive, because they've been made better, they fit better, or they're made from better quality material. So you know, I still have some brands now that I fall back to, like Barbour's one of my favourite brands. I like wearing their shirts, they just seem to feel right for me. Haven't got any annoying labels. Sometimes you get the label in the side of a shirt, near the bottom, and that can be annoying and rub, or in the collar, or the collar's a bit too stiff. But so yeah, I'm happy to pay a little bit more money for something that I find comfortable, but I'm not going to be chasing the brands. I don't care. I don't really care now what you think of me or how you judge me from my clothing. You know, I'm quite happy to wear run-of-the-mill average clothing and just blend into the background. You know, I don't want to be strutting like a peacock with all the latest expensive gear on. So yeah, just wanted to have a chat about clothing. You know, it's been a thing, and I've read a few things lately about clothing, and I thought that was an interesting one possibly to talk about for 10 minutes or so. So thanks for watching again, and see you soon.